Romantasy is a subgenre of fantasy that has completely taken off in the past few years. And since I am always behind on current trends, it took me an embarrassing long time to learn that when people say they're looking for spice in their fantasy, they are not speaking about Dune's magic sandworm powder. So a while back, I decided to tip my toe into the water and see what the hype was all about modern romantasy. Because believe it or not, I actually consider myself a fan of fantasy romances. Like in high school, even the cheesiest, cringiest romances out there, I was a huge fan of. I really enjoyed it in high school. But as I delved into modern romantasy, the books that are commonly highlighted on Book Talk and BookTube, I learned a super disturbing truth about romantasy and why it has become so popular today, especially on BookTube. So, allow me to let you into the biggest secret of the romantasy genre. Romantasy is not romance at all. It is pornography marketed as romance.
But you got porn!
And I think this is a much bigger deal than everyone is making it out to be. By mislabeling porn as romance, we are really doing two horrible things. The first thing we're doing is we are exposing people to porn who may have not otherwise encountered it because we are exposing them to it in a very deceptive manner by hiding it under the guise of romance. And the second thing we're doing is we are tainting our understanding and expectations of what romance is. And what I mean by that is that when I think of a romance book, I think of a few things, but I really tend to think of romance books as a romance, used as a noun. I think of a medieval tale based on chivalric love, or more simply put, I think of a love story. But there is no love in quote-unquote romantasy. There's lust, there's infatuation, there's passion, there's sex, but there is no love. There's no romance. But what happens is our understandings of words change over time with new information and context. Or worse, if you're a young adult picking these books up, it doesn't even have to change your view on what romance is. It is forming and shaping your view and expectations of what you get from a romantic relationship. It is forming your view of romance. It is forming your expectations of romance. When we pick up a romance book and we see porn, we start to think of romance as what we see in these romantasy books. That is pornography.
Whoa. This is a dirty book.
And I know this video is going to get a ton of comments about me being a prude, and I'm making a bigger deal out of this than it needs to. And I know people are going to disagree with me, because with what few conversations I've had with people who read fantasy porn, they disagree it's porn in the first place. They fervently disagree with me. They do not see these books as porn. And that is the whole reason I used the Joey scene from Friends earlier in the video. Because the more and more I thought about it, the bigger the realization came to me. It honestly makes me think of that famous court case in 1964 when Justice Potter Stewart was trying to define obscenity. He said, "I shall not today attempt further to define the kinds of material I understand to be embraced within that shorthand description of hardcore porn. And perhaps I could never succeed in intelligibly doing so. But I know it when I see it." And that's the line that sticks with me so much. That's the one line at the end. I know it when I see it. One of the things that inspired me to make this video was that I was able to walk up to the YA section of a bookstore and read porn. It shocked me that kids were buying these books with super explicit material in them and then walking out the door. Like, I couldn't understand how a child could buy that. I remember wondering if my memories of having to be 18 to buy porn was a figment of my imagination. And that's when it hit me. Porn has been marketed so effectively as romance that we cannot even identify it when we see it. We no longer know it when we see it. We have become so desensitized to pornography that it just goes right over our heads. We have been tricked into thinking it's romance. And I use that Joey scene because not that long ago, even simple-minded Joey knew it when he saw it. And many of us today cannot. So, to further prove my point, I actually recorded myself reading one of these pornography scenes to put in the video and show people who might be unfamiliar with romantasy what I mean when I say it's porn. That labeling it as spicy is diminishing what it really is. But after I recorded it, I realized I couldn't post that on YouTube because it would break YouTube's policy on porn. You cannot post content that depicts sexual acts or behavior that is meant for sexual gratification. If I were to read the passages out of this book, they would 100% break YouTube's policy on porn. The last thing I wanted to discuss in this video, even though I have 1,000 more in-depth opinions about this topic, is the title question of the video. Why is porn the secret to romantasy's success? And the answer is incredibly simple. It's because pornography is incredibly addictive. It triggers the brain's dopamine centers to release dopamine, a neurotransmitter that is associated with the pleasure and reward pathways. It's the same pathways triggered in youth brains when they watch TikToks, the same pathway that needs constant entertainment, and the ones that create super short attention spans. Publishers and marketers know the power of dopamine, and they know that dopamine surges are harder to achieve in fantasy, especially epic fantasy. The dopamine in epic fantasy comes in short spurts after a lot of buildup. It's like when Kaladin jumps into the pit with Adolin. Porn, on the other hand, is much easier to activate those dopamine pathways. Partially because of the nature of the act itself, but also because the buildup to the actual sex scenes reads as a type of foreplay, which also releases dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, all the same neurotransmitters that pornography does. The reason romantasy is so successful is because it's having the same effect on our brains that pornography does, or TikTok does, or any other addictive driven activity on our brain does. So I will no longer be calling fantasy porn romantasy. That is using a euphemism to hide it for what it really is. This is pornography. And I think it's important that we refer to it as such so that people aren't misled into reading something that they are trying to avoid. And I really hope that everyone else starts doing this too. I hope the term romantasy applies towards real fantasy romances, such as the Pendragon cycle. That is a true fantasy romance. And with that, this video comes to an end. Make sure that if you do like this video, like and subscribe to get notified when new videos come out. And if you disagree with me, please let me know in the comment down below. Why do you disagree with me? Make an argument as to why I'm wrong. I'm happy to change my mind. I change my mind all the time. So let me know down below why I'm wrong, or if you agree with me, let me know that too. And until next time, thanks for watching.